Looking around our neighbours and contemporary artists round Stroud and Bath, we have an extraordinary range of highly gifted artists in textiles.
I'm Liz Lippiott. I'm a textile designer and known for a devore technique, which is a burnout of velvet, creating a 3D effect with the fabric.
I'm Sue Bradley and I'm a knitwear designer. My specialism really is very, very decorative hand and machine knitting, and I like to mix fabrics with knitting and create embroidery and sort of make one-off pieces.
I'm Dorothy Regler and I design and make garments from special fabric that will wear and get better as they get older.
It's so exciting. The variety of work and skill, because not only do you have to have the skill to know how to stitch, but you have to be such a master of this skill that you can turn it into something extraordinarily imaginative that gives the wearer such pleasure.
I think techniques are the most important thing in colleges, actually, that
Yeah.
really good techniques is what we had when we were at Cheltenham. Because if you sell, like I sell to places like Etro in Milan and big companies who absolutely thrive on being able to reproduce interesting techniques and original work. And I think that's where students need to not be afraid to play, but sort of really be trained in certain techniques.
My first job after college was working for Belleville Sassoon in London, and I was in charge of all the embroidery they did in that couture house in the 60s. I was up for going to Southeast Asia to work with women to help them keep their skills alive. So off I went to the jungle on the Thai-Burma border, and I thought just for the year. But then something drew me there every year for 18 years. I worked with Karen women in the jungle who'd lost their husbands, and they were earning money to support their families. I didn't speak their language, they didn't speak mine. So it was through the sewing that we communicated. But the women are so resourceful and they love working. If they have a tragedy, they get to their needle and thread to get over it, to put their heads right again.
For me, it's so important to pass on the techniques I know, because you can't do it aided by a computer. You actually have to do it with your hands and roll your sleeves up. And I've worked with a couturier for most of my working life, who last year got in touch with me because I'm just about the only person who can do this devore technique. And of course, sadly, when the Queen died, they needed to produce a whole new set of outfits for Queen Camilla.
Hopefully people will realise how important it is and how very basic it is to life, you know, using one's hands to create things. I know on a computer you use your hands, but it's in a different way.
My name's Kasia Howard and I am the Senior Education Manager at Highgrove. So we were encouraged by the King to support the local prescribing community. So Highgrove sits in a very rural setting and communities can be quite isolated and there are pockets of deprivation and people can feel very alone. So we've had people come to our workshops who've never tried embroidery before and they've been encouraged through one of our fantastic tutors to have a go. And so the idea of this garment came about, and we've worked solely with donated materials. There are flowers in there, there are some illustrations of birds, there's some, I can't say this, mnemonics as well. And it's a really lovely example of passing on skills, of encouraging people to repurpose what they have and to embellish what they have and to make things that has got an identity. And I think that's something that young people in particular are really interested in, is how what they wear creates and forms their own identity.
We had created bursaries for all sorts of other things, for sculptors, for furniture makers, glass makers, ceramicists, in the history of the show, but we'd never done anything for textiles. And textiles and sustainability and throwaway fashion, of course, are such a key note of present-day life, and we all must give thought to this.
I'm Zena. I am founder of Rootful and a material innovator. I grow textile from grassroots. I have a very unusual path. I'm an underwater photographer. I have been for 30 years, and over the years I watched the plastic build up in the ocean, and it came to a point I just thought, actually, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to try and do what I can to make a difference, to make people more aware of the materials that we consume. So I put down my camera and I just started to look at material design, and then discovered this amazing thing called biodesign. The idea that we can use living organisms to grow new materials. The roots compete with one another when they're in the soil, but grasses are quite different because they grow together as a colony. So they make this textile that's under our feet anyway, and we just don't think to look there. So it just takes 2 weeks for it to grow, and after 2 weeks I slice off the seed and the shoot and give that back to my chickens. And then I'm just left with the textile at the end, which I form and craft. So really all I'm doing is exposing a material, a natural fibre, and showing what we can do with it if we grow it in a certain way and design with it. So I was really delighted to win a gold medal at Chelsea Flower Show this year, and I was very grateful for the sponsorship that I received from the Quenington Trust.
I think having the range of the work of the King's Foundation here, to the individual artist craftsman, whether it's in leather or in making hats, or this extraordinary work of grassroots, as well as silks and fine linens and printed work, is a blast of imagination. It's a triumph, it's a joy.